pumpkin whoopie pies, or gobs. Whatever you call them, they're delicious. Well, hello, welcome back. Today we're going to make pumpkin whoopie pies, one of my favorite decadent treats, and this one is keto. So a little bit of background on whoopie pies and gobs. I used to live in central Pennsylvania, and in the local mini-mart gas stations, it was not uncommon all year round to have two things on the counter when you were checking out. Whoopie pies, but usually the chocolate whoopie pies, they're real dark chocolate and they've got all this cream cheese filling or frosting filling, or shoofly pie. And if you've never had shoofly pie before, the only way to describe it is pecan pie without the pecans. It's just a crust and goo, and it is heavenly. There's different varieties, but oh man. So, and also a little bit about Pennsylvania. It's the snackiest place I've ever lived. They actually have a holiday. Well, it's Fat Tuesday, but there it's called Fosnacht Day. And Fosnacht, I guess, is the German word for donut. And it's an excuse for everyone to eat donuts all day long. And you're supposed to eat donuts all day. And at fire halls and supermarkets would sell Fosnachts, and they weren't just donuts. They were big hunks of fried dough covered with sugar or powdered sugar, cinnamon sugar, and you tore them open and you put butter all over them and molasses, and it was awesome. It was a big part of this. That's where, oh, by the way, that's where I was diagnosed type 2 diabetes. Good stuff, and big pretzel factories there, and Charlie Chips, and they like their snacks. Oh, and Wilbur's Chocolates. If you're going to go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, I think it's still there. It's in Lidditz, and it's Wilbur's Chocolates, Wilbur Buds. That's some good chocolate. Anyway, enough about Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Good food. Pumpkin whoopie pies. So I'll get right into the recipe. It's keto. I still have to do the calorie count. I will post the recipe in writing in the comments, and we'll talk again after the video. Oh, and if you like this, you like what you're seeing and what I'm doing, please consider subscribing. Click the bell so you get my updates. We're going to be really ramping this up. I've spent a tremendous amount of time. That's why I'm a little late on a video. I have to put these down. A little late on a video because we've been working so hard on getting the website up and running. My seasonings are formulas are done. So I'm really excited about that. On to the kitchen. Okay, here we are in the kitchen. This is my pumpkin whoopie pie recipe. So I have a cup of almond flour, and then I have half cup of pretty much warmed up and melted. It's not completely, I didn't want it too warm. That's coconut oil. And then I have salt, little Redmond salt. I have my baking powder and my pumpkin spice that I put together. It's really good spice. And then I have some sweetener. That right there is stevia. And then 2 eggs, and you can see there's a little bit of vanilla in there. And then last but not least, the actual pumpkin. I combine my coconut oil with my eggs and my vanilla, kind of mix them up, get it all incorporated. Then I take my pumpkin puree, however you want to say it, and I mix that really well into my eggs and my vanilla and my coconut oil. Once you get that good and mixed together, then you can set that aside and combine your dry ingredients in my favorite mixing bowl. So you want to get them pretty well incorporated. And then I add my wet mixture into my dry mixture, and it mixes pretty easy. It comes out probably a little thicker than probably you would have, a flour sort of recipe for a pumpkin whoopie pie, but this one, it comes out firm enough that it stays together. So a little background on the whoopie pie versus gob thing. Depending on where you're from, you either call them whoopie pies or gobs. Western Pennsylvania, Central Pennsylvania calls them gobs, and gob is probably pretty appropriate. I was once told that the whole purpose behind a whoopie pie is an excuse to eat way too much icing, and I believe that to be the case. You'll see when I frost them, because it's just really good. So this is heavy, pumpkin-y taste. It's and I don't over sweeten it. I'm not a big fan of sweets anymore. I drink my coffee black and everything. This is plenty sweetener for me. So I put them on a piece of parchment paper. Now these 4 gobs or whoopie pies, I'm going to cook in the microwave just to show you how cooking on the microwave is pretty easy. So very similar size blobs of the cake itself. Now the cookies come out more like a cake cookie than a hard cookie. You want them soft, and that's why there's all that coconut oil in there that allows them to be soft. So kind of pat them down. A real whoopie pie or a real, sweet gob is smooth on the outside. It looks like a round dome of yummy cake. So on these, I'm just going to smooth them out. You could probably get a little crazier and smooth them out a whole lot more, but this is as much as I find that I need. So I put them on the paper. So again, they need to be equal size. Should be close to being equal size. This way, when you have your frosting in between, there's not an imbalance, a top or a bottom. They're 2 equal cakes or cookies that make up the cake. Not to get too crazy. Crazy as you want to get. But these I put on the parchment paper and on the plate, and then I take the plate and slide the parchment paper off into my tray in my microwave. And see, yeah, if it's just slide them off. And so I don't do them in the plate. This way they end up perfectly flat and they sit on the bottom. My microwave, you end up microwaving a little long. I microwave it for about 2 minutes. So these I'm going to bake in the oven. If you're just looking for a quick treat and you didn't want to go through all of whatever it takes to put them in the oven, and it's your preference. I mean, they come out perfectly fine in the microwave. They get a little bit more caramelized, a little bit more crusty, for lack of a better term, if you put them in the oven. I think they're fine either way. Smoothing them out and getting them even so that they bake evenly. This took about 10 minutes in the oven. So in the time it took me to do that, there are my microwave cookies, or microwave whoopie pies. So, if you've never baked on parchment paper, it is truly super simple. You can see the bottom of the cakes are a little bit wet, just because of the microwave moisture or whatever, but that's not a problem. That's where the big difference comes into the ones that bake. The bottoms get a little browned and caramelized, and it's definitely yummy, but there's really no difference in taste on doing them this way. So let me put them back on this plate. So these are still warm. I'm going to let them cool, and I'm going to make my frosting, or my filling. Keep saying frosting. So for my filling, I have about a half a brick of cream cheese. It's still pretty cool. I'd rather deal with it firm, so it's not so mushy. And I've got vanilla, and I'm using Swerve confectionery artificial sweetener. So 2 tablespoons. It's usually kind of sweeter than I would normally, more sweetener than I normally use. So with a fork, I'm going to incorporate all of these ingredients. Only takes a minute. So I'm ready to turn these little pumpkin cake cookies into gobs. So this is where you would say, well, that's plenty enough frosting, filling. So you put on what you think would be an adequate quantity. I'm doing that a camera shot. No, that's not a gob. You can pile it up in the middle of the cookie. Sorry, I'm doing this out of camera. And then put another cookie on top, and then just push them together. Oh, there it is. Now that's a pumpkin gob. So here, I'll do the other one. And we'll cut to taking the other ones out of the oven. So now I'm ready for the baked whoopie pie halves. So these whoopie pies, again, do them on parchment paper. You don't need to grease it or oil it or anything. Nothing sticks to it. I'm going to pop these on a plate and let them cool so they firm up enough to take the filling. So after the pumpkin whoopie pies have cooled, I iced one more with the remaining filling. And you see on the bottom of the whoopie pie it's got kind of a nice brown caramelized look to it, but the cake is still plenty soft. And that's the way it should be. It should be more like a cake than a hard cookie. I think it's an adequate amount of filling. So here's the worst part about pumpkin whoopie pies today. It's Tuesday. I'm fasting. So all I can do is smell. Oh, but tomorrow, now Christine will eat one tonight for sure. And tomorrow after I'm out of my fast, I might just treat myself one for dessert. So I hope you enjoyed my pumpkin whoopie pie recipe. Again, please consider subscribing. Try these for yourself. They're really good. It's a perfect fall treat. We've already had 2 snowfalls here in Kansas. It's not even Thanksgiving yet. I was out this morning early and took a nice long walk with the dog, and it was, I think, 17 degrees. But it felt really good. So everything's going real well. Hope you enjoy the recipe, and I hope to see you back on the channel soon. Thank you very much.